In this video, we're exposing the shocking truth about what's really in your honey. The 10 brands you need to stop buying immediately. From sugar syrup adulteration and strip pollen to the largest food fraud case in American history, what you're about to discover will completely change the way you look at that bear-shaped bottle in your pantry. And here's the good news. Stick with me until the end, because I'll reveal the 4 brands that are actually real, pure honey. Let's separate the genuine from the fraudulent. 10. Winnie the Pooh Honey, Honey Tree Inc. Starting at number 10, Winnie the Pooh Honey trades on childhood nostalgia and a friendly cartoon bear. But what's inside the bottle is anything but innocent. When Food Safety News sent samples of this brand to Dr. Vaughn Bryant, one of the world's leading pollen experts at Texas A&M University, his analysis came back with 0 detectable pollen. None. And that matters more than you might think. See, pollen is honey's fingerprint. It's the only reliable way scientists can verify where honey was actually harvested and whether it's genuinely from bees. When a company strips all pollen out through ultrafiltering, they're erasing the evidence. You can no longer tell if that honey came from a beekeeper in Montana or a factory in China. When confronted about this, company president Bob Olney didn't deny it. He actually confirmed they filter pollen out, claiming that North American shoppers want their honey crystal clear. But food scientists say there's only one reason to remove all pollen from honey, and that's to hide its true origin. Traditional straining to remove bee parts and wax still leaves plenty of pollen intact. Ultrafiltering is a completely different process, one that involves heating the honey, sometimes watering it down, and forcing it through submicron membranes under high pressure. It's an industrial procedure that has nothing to do with quality and everything to do with concealment. 9. CVS, Walgreens, and Rite Aid store brand. Honey at number 9. If you've been buying honey from your local drugstore, you need to hear this. The same Food Safety News investigation tested honey from major pharmacy chains across the country, and the results were devastating. Every single sample from CVS, Walgreens, and Rite Aid had all pollen removed. That's a 100% failure rate, the worst of any retail category tested. Not a single drugstore honey sample contained the one thing that proves honey is actually honey. What makes this particularly troubling is that millions of older Americans who regularly shop at pharmacies for health products are unknowingly buying a product that can't even be verified as real honey. The FDA's own position states that ultra-filtered product without pollen should not be considered honey. Yet these drugstore brands sit right on the shelf next to vitamins and supplements, silently marketed as a natural health product. When you remove all the pollen, you also remove the trace enzymes, antioxidants, and beneficial compounds that give real honey its health properties. What's left is essentially an expensive sugar syrup in a bottle shaped like a bear. 8. Market Pantry and Archer Farms, Target store brands. At number 8, Target's house brands aren't doing any better. Both Market Pantry and Archer Farms honey-tested pollen-free in independent lab analysis, part of a disturbing pattern among big-box retailers. Across the board, testing found that 77% of honey sold at major stores like Walmart, Target, Costco, and Sam's Club had all pollen stripped out. Target's brands fell squarely in the worst category. The appeal of these store brands is the lower price point. But that lower price is a warning sign, not a selling point. Real American honey costs between $1.20 and $1.40 per pound to produce. When you see store-brand honey selling for significantly less than that, someone is cutting corners. Either they're sourcing ultra-filtered product of unknown origin, or the honey has been stretched with cheaper sweeteners. Either way, you're not getting what you're paying for. 7. Kroger Pure Clover. Honey claiming the number 7 spot, Kroger's Pure Clover honey labels itself with 2 words that should mean something: pure, clover. But when scientists tested it, they found 0 pollen, making it impossible to verify that it's pure, that it came from clover, or that it's honey at all by the FDA's own definition. Kroger was part of the broader 76% failure rate among conventional grocery store honey brands tested in the landmark investigation. The word pure on a honey label is essentially meaningless in the United States because the FDA has never established a legally enforceable standard of identity for honey. That means any company can slap pure on a bottle of ultra-filtered, origin unknown syrup and face no legal consequences. The American Beekeeping Federation petitioned the FDA to create a standard back in 2006. The FDA denied it in 2011, calling it unnecessary. 15 years later, consumers are still flying blind. 6. Busy Bee Honey, Golden Heritage Foods. At number 6, Golden Heritage Foods processes roughly 55 million pounds of honey every year and packs store brands for retailers nationwide. Their own quality director, Eric Wenger, admitted on the record that the company carefully removes all pollen from raw honey during processing. That's not an accusation from an outside investigator. That's the company's own quality chief describing their standard practice. What makes Golden Heritage particularly concerning is their scale. At 55 million pounds annually, they're one of the largest honey packers in North America. When a company that size is stripping pollen from every batch they process, the contamination isn't limited to one brand on one shelf. Their honey ends up repackaged under dozens of different labels across thousands of stores. You could be buying Golden Heritage honey right now and have no idea because it's sitting behind someone else's branding. 5. Sue Bee and Aunt Sue's Sue Honey Association. Approaching our top 5, Sue Bee is America's largest honey cooperative, and their legal problems tell a disturbing story. In 2017, a class action lawsuit alleged that Sue Bee products labeled pure and 100% pure contained detectable levels of glyphosate, the active ingredient in Roundup herbicide. Then in 2023, another class action alleged outright adulteration with corn syrup and rice syrup. When the Food Safety News investigation asked Sue Bee directly whether they ultra-filter their honey, the company repeatedly declined to answer. That silence speaks volumes. If your processing methods are standard and your product is genuine, you have no reason to dodge the question. Beyond the lawsuit allegations, the refusal to address basic transparency questions about processing puts consumers in the dark about what's actually in those jars. For a brand that labels itself 100% pure, the growing pile of legal challenges and the refusal to discuss filtration practices should give every buyer pause. But the brands ranked above Sue Bee are the ones with the most damning evidence behind them. 4. Great Value Clover Honey, Walmart. At number 4, Walmart's Great Value Honey is one of the most purchased honey products in America, found in millions of households, and it tested completely pollen-free. That means the honey on the shelves of the world's largest retailer cannot be traced to any geographic origin, any beekeeper, or any floral source. For a product that says Clover Honey on the label, there's literally no scientific way to verify that claim. The testing that revealed this was part of the broader finding that 77% of big box store honey had been ultra-filtered. But what makes the Great Value situation more alarming is the sheer volume. Walmart moves more honey than almost any other single retailer. If their house brand is pollen-free, that represents an enormous quantity of unverifiable honey entering American homes every single day. And consumers buying it at Walmart's famously low prices are likely getting exactly what those prices suggest, a product sourced from whoever can supply it cheapest, regardless of origin or processing methods. 3. Honey Solutions, formerly Honey Holding. At number 3, we move from suspect processing into confirmed criminal activity. Honey Solutions, a Baytown, Texas company, was described in federal court documents as the garbage can for adulterated honey. Their former sales director, Douglas Murphy, pleaded guilty to knowingly purchasing honey contaminated with chloramphenicol, a banned antibiotic that's linked to a potentially fatal blood disorder called aplastic anemia. The contaminated Chinese honey that Honey Solutions handled was sold to major food companies including Sara Lee and J.M. Smucker, meaning tainted honey potentially reached millions of American consumers through products they trusted. The company paid a $1 million fine as part of the Honeygate prosecution. But think about what that means. A company knowingly handled honey contaminated with a banned substance connected to fatal blood disorders, sold it to household name brands, and the fine was $1 million. For context, that's roughly what Honey Solutions would make from a few container loads of product. The penalty was essentially a cost of doing business. 2. ALW, Alfred L. Wolf, GmbH. Coming in at number 2, this German conglomerate operated at the very heart of the largest food fraud case in U.S. history. ALW created fraudulent documents claiming Chinese honey originated in Russia, India, Malaysia, Mongolia, and at least 6 other countries. Internal company emails instructed employees to discuss certain transactions only over the telephone and in German to avoid creating a paper trail. 14 people were charged. Over $80 million in anti-dumping duties were evaded. ALW illegally imported more than $40 million worth of Chinese honey between 2002 and 2009, routing it through shell companies and third-party countries in a laundering network that spanned continents. Federal investigators seized over 3,000 drums of illegally imported honey. The sophistication of the operation was staggering. ALW wasn't just bending the rules. They built an international infrastructure specifically designed to deceive customs officials, evade tariffs, and flood the American market with cheap Chinese honey that undercut legitimate domestic producers. This wasn't a corner-cutting operation. It was organized fraud on a global scale. 1. Grobe Farms/Miller's American Honey. Taking the #1 spot as the most fraudulent honey operation ever exposed in America, Grobe Farms processed 85 million pounds of honey per year, roughly 1/3 of all processed honey sold in the United States. In February 2013, the company admitted in federal court to knowingly purchasing Chinese honey that had been illegally laundered through Indonesia and Thailand to evade anti-dumping tariffs. The numbers are staggering. Between 2008 and 2012, Grobe imported 1,578 container loads of illegal Chinese honey, evading $78.9 million in duties. The company entered a deferred prosecution agreement, paid a $2 million fine, fired senior executives, and filed for bankruptcy in October 2013. The Department of Justice called it the largest food fraud case in American history. What makes Grobe Farms the undisputed worst is the scale. 1 out of every 3 jars of processed honey in America passed through their facilities. For years, 1/3 of the honey supply in this country was handled by a company that was knowingly purchasing illegally imported, fraudulently documented product. If you bought honey from a major grocery store between 2008 and 2012, there's a very real chance it flowed through Grobe's operation. The Honeygate scandal didn't just expose one bad company. It ripped the lid off an entire system that was rotten from the inside. And here's what should concern you most. The conditions that allowed it to happen haven't been fixed. The United States still has no legally enforceable standard of identity for honey. The FDA doesn't require pollen to be present, doesn't mandate origin testing, and inspects fewer than 5% of foreign honey shipments. Americans consume over 400 million pounds of honey every year, but only about 37% of that is produced domestically. The rest is imported, and the vast majority of it enters the country with minimal oversight. Legislative efforts like the Honey Integrity Act have been introduced repeatedly and stalled in Congress every single time. Meanwhile, honey fraud is accelerating globally at a pace that should alarm everyone. Recorded fraud incidents surged over 1,300% between 2020 and 2023. A landmark 2023 EU investigation tested 320 honey shipments from 20 countries at European borders and found that 46% were suspected of adulteration with cheap rice, wheat, or sugar beet syrups. Chinese honey had a 74% suspicion rate. Turkish honey hit 93%. And in 2025, the International Federation of Beekeepers Associations actually canceled its World Honey Competition at the Copenhagen World Congress because they couldn't guarantee the entries weren't fake. At the previous competition in 2019, 45% of entries had already been rejected for suspected fraud. The economics driving this are painfully simple. American honey costs between $1.20 and $1.40 per pound to produce. Chinese honey can be had for as little as 22 cents per pound. Rice sugar syrups used to stretch honey cost a fraction of even that. When the profit margin on fraud is that enormous, and the chance of getting caught is that small, the incentive structure practically guarantees it will continue. Fraudsters are developing new sugar syrups faster than labs can develop tests to catch them. In late 2024, Testing laboratories identified an entirely novel type of syrup that evaded every single existing detection method. It's an arms race, and right now the fraudsters are winning. So what can you actually trust? After all of that, here's the relief. These 4 brands deliver verified, real honey backed by transparent sourcing, independent testing, and practices that prioritize authenticity over profit margin. YS Eco Bee Farms. Starting our safe list at number 4, YS Eco Bee Farms is a 4-generation family beekeeping operation that does things the way honey was meant to be produced. Their organic line is USDA Organic Certified, meaning no synthetic pesticides, no antibiotics, and no chemical treatments anywhere near the hives. The honey is raw, unfiltered, and unpasteurized, preserving every enzyme, antioxidant, and beneficial compound that industrial processing destroys. The fact that their honey crystallizes over time is actually a sign of authenticity. Real, unprocessed honey naturally crystallizes. If your honey stays perfectly liquid for years on the shelf, that's a red flag, not a quality marker. YS Eco Bee Farms is widely available at health food stores and online at a surprisingly reasonable price point for genuinely pure honey. Bee Harmony by Be Responsible. At number 3, Bee Harmony takes traceability to a level that most honey brands won't even attempt. Every single beekeeper in their supply chain undergoes a rigorous approval process, verifying the complete absence of sugar syrups, pesticides, antibiotics, and lead. And every jar carries an 8-digit traceability code that links it directly to a specific beekeeper and a specific harvest date. That's not a marketing gimmick. That's an auditable chain of custody from hive to shelf. Their domestic line is sourced entirely from verified U.S. beekeepers, and their organic varieties come from certified operations in Brazil. When a company gives you the tools to trace your honey back to the individual who harvested it, that's the kind of transparency the entire industry should be held to. Wetherspoon Raw Premium Manuka. Honey claiming the number 2 spot, Wetherspoon sources from New Zealand's remote regions and puts every batch through third-party laboratory testing for authenticity. Their honey is non-GMO project verified and uses a proprietary K-factor pollen rating system that actually measures the pollen count in each jar, the exact thing that fraudulent brands go out of their way to remove. Manuka honey specifically has clinically documented antibacterial properties that regular honey doesn't offer, making authenticity even more critical. If your Manuka is fake, you're not just overpaying for honey, you're missing out on the actual medicinal benefits that make it worth the premium. Wetherspoon is available at Whole Foods, Walmart, and Amazon, making verified pure Manuka accessible without needing a specialty import. Local Hive Honey. Taking the top spot as the best honey you can buy, Local Hive delivers everything consumers should demand from a honey brand. Full True Source certification with complete hive-to-table traceability. Region-specific blends sourced from identified local beekeepers, so you know exactly where your honey comes from. Raw and unfiltered with pollen, propolis, and beneficial enzymes fully intact. What sets Local Hive apart is the combination of transparency, availability, and sourcing integrity. They offer regional varieties like SoCal Wildflower, Northeast Clover, and Southeast Wildflower, each traceable to specific beekeeping operations in those areas. The honey is raw, meaning it's never been heated above natural hive temperatures, preserving every health benefit that industrial processing destroys. And unlike boutique brands that you can only find at specialty stores, Local Hive is available at major grocery chains nationwide. Verified pure honey shouldn't require a treasure hunt. Local Hive proves that authentic, traceable, raw honey can be accessible to everyone. There you have it. 10 honey brands built on strip pollen, sugar syrups, and the largest food fraud case in American history, plus 4 that actually deliver what the label promises. Before your next grocery run, remember this. Look for raw and unfiltered on the label. Check for third-party certifications like True Source or USDA Organic. Buy from brands that name their beekeepers or regions, and understand that if honey costs significantly less than $1.20 per pound, someone is cutting corners or cutting it with syrup. If this changed the way you look at that honey jar in your kitchen, hit that like button, Drop a comment telling me which brand you want investigated next, and share this with everyone who deserves to know what they're really eating. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss content protecting your health and exposing the truth. Thanks for watching. Until next time, choose wisely.